Hello all, I'm super excited to announce that my second book, The Origin of Names, Words and Everything in Between, has officially released. It's officially published. Well, at least in the USA anyway. I think the rest of the world has to wait a little bit longer, but it's officially here. So to celebrate my second book finally being published, I wanted to share another extract from the book with all of you guys to enjoy in animated form. However, let's just have a quick reminder of what exactly this second book is all about. The Origin of Names, Words and Everything in Between Volume 2 is a follow-up to my debut popular book called, unsurprisingly, The Origin of Names, Words and Everything in Between. Like that first book, this second book covers a variety of names and words and how they came to be. This book is split into 15 different chapters and each chapter covers a different subject area, with there being 10 names covered in each subject area. So that's 150 different entries in this book, 150 different etymologies here within the pages of the book. And it's all written in an easy to read and easy to understand way, very much like how I present names and etymologies here on the YouTube channel too. The extract this video will be presenting to you guys is from the body parts chapter of the book. The human body is made up of various different bits and pieces and parts, from our skin and bones to our internal organs like our heart and lungs. And I bet there's even parts of the body you didn't know you had, or at least didn't know they had actual names anyway. Like, did you know there's a part of your body called the anatomical snuff box, which isn't as rude as it sounds, I promise. So let's look into how some body parts, from the very well known to the not as well known, got their names. The human body is thought to be made up of almost 600 muscles. They're instrumental in our existence and are most closely linked to our strength. Despite being linked to strong people, muscles are named after a type of animal that we don't really link with strength by any means. In Latin, muscles were called musculus. This Latin word literally translates into English to mean little mouse. As I said, teeny tiny mice are not the first animal to spring to mind when we think of strength. How have these vital body parts become named after minuscule rodents? Well, it has nothing to do with the strength of mice, that's for sure. It all comes from the way muscles move under our skin, especially bicep muscles. Ancient Romans felt that the movements made by muscles when they were being flexed looked like little mice running under the skin. The idea of mice running around under the skin isn't the nicest idea, that's for sure, but it went into the creation of the word beloved by bodybuilders and gym junkies alike. The Romans seemed to be rather fond of little mice, as it wasn't just our flesh that was named after them. Another animal was named after them too, the shellfish of mussels, albeit spelling it a little different. We don't seem to be as sure as to why Romans named these mollusks mussels. One idea is that it had to do with their shape. Perhaps their open shells reminded Romans of the ears of a mouse. This organ comes in a pair, and they allow us to breathe. They are undoubtedly important, though despite all the heavy lifting they do, their name is not quite as heavy. The name for this body part comes from the Old High German Lungen, which means light organ, with this name deriving from the Proto-Indo-European Loh, meaning not heavy / having little weight. This airy organ has a very airy name indeed, though it seems that the average adult set of lungs weigh about 1 kilogram, which isn't actually that light at all. Its actual weight in no way means that's the lightest body part, so why is it named after this feat? Well, one idea is that this name comes from the culinary world. People enjoy eating organs. Livers and hearts from various animals are common foods around the world. While lungs aren't as commonly eaten, they still are. One source I read that when all these organs are tossed into a boiling pot, they would all sink to the bottom -1, those being the lungs. The lungs would have gotten their name due to the fact that they are far more buoyant in a cooking pot compared to other organs, though I must admit, I haven't tested this out myself to see if it's true or not. Every part of the body has a name. You may just not be aware of what exactly that name is. Take the Philtrum in example. There's a pretty high chance you may have never heard of this thing, yet you actually see it every time you look in the mirror, as Philtrum is a proper scientific name for the groove of skin that lives between your nose and your upper lip. It's not just us that have Philtrums either. Many other mammals like dogs and cats have them too. Despite its presence on the face of all humans, primates and many other mammals, it doesn't serve much of a purpose, at least for us humans anyway. While it may have no biological purpose, it seems we humans have given the philtrum meaning, as it's seen as a rather intimate part of the body, most likely due to how close it is to the lips, a part of the body we have deemed incredibly alluring thanks to kissing. It's from this lovey-dovey connotation as to how the philtrum got its name too, as the name philtrum comes from Greek and means love charm. It quite literally translates into that from Greek. This is because we hope to charm those that we love with our mouths, and our philtrums, I suppose. It seems we have seen some romantic mythology in our mouths too, as philtrum together with the top lip is sometimes called Cupid's bow, due to the top lips and philtrums looking somewhat like the famous bow and arrow that belongs to the god of love. Yes, I promise you that not only is this a name used for a body part, from what I can tell is the most official correct name for this body part too. There's a lot to unpack with this one. What's a snuff box? What makes one anatomical? And where is it even? The anatomical snuff box can be found on your hand, the area between the bottom of your thumb and the top of your wrist to be exact. You'll notice that your hand actually deepens here a little bit. In some people it sinks in more than others, so yours may be quite dramatic or not too noticeable at all. It's the fact that this area gets deeper as to why it has this strange name. To understand what a snuff box is, we have to understand what exactly snuff is. Snuff is a type of tobacco. However, unlike many other forms tobacco takes, snuff isn't smoked like a cigarette or pipe. Instead, snuff is a somewhat powdery substance that you inhale by sniffing up your nose. The name snuff unto itself is thought to be a corruption of sniff. Snuff tends to be sold in a small tin, aka a snuff box. However, partakers of snuff by and large don't simply shove their nose into this tin and huff away. Instead, they normally take a small amount of the substance and place it on their hand, specifically the part of the hand we now call the anatomical snuff box. This sunken portion of the hand made snuff feel completely at home before it was ingested into the nostril of its patron. This small groove in the hand really was the human body's own snuff box, which explains why it's referred to as anatomical, as anatomical is simply an adjective meaning relating to the human body. Your brain is you. Yes, I know your skin and bones and other organs play a pretty vital role in making you tick along, but the defining feature that differentiates you from all other humans can be found in your brain. Your thoughts, ideals, beliefs, interests and disinterests are all held within the roughly 3 pounds of fleshy, wrinkly substance hiding behind your eyes. The brain is a deeply complex thing, so complex that it actually splits into various different sections, each with their own name. There could really be a whole chapter in this book dedicated to just parts of the brain. But for now, let's just highlight a couple of them. The cerebral cortex is the name given to the layer of tissue that covers the whole brain. While the name for this sounds like it comes straight from the pages of a comic book or from some mad scientist, it actually dates back to the Romans. The former part of the name just comes from the Latin word for brain, cerebrum. The cortex part is Latin too, being the Latin word for bark, rind, shell, or husk. What's interesting is that the word cortex is applied to the outermost layer of all organs. As well as a cerebral cortex, we have a stomach and liver cortex too. This does mean, however, that this fancy sounding name of cerebral cortex simply means brain shell, which isn't as fancy sounding, that's for sure. Many parts of our brain are referred to as lobes. This is an old word of unknown origin. It's not only our brains that have lobes though, we have lobes all across our body, most noticeably with our earlobes. The lobes of our brain have unique names however, one being the temporal lobe. This is the part of the brain that is believed to deal with memories, specifically long-term memories. To understand memories, we have to understand time too, hence why this lobe's name features the Latin adjective for time, temporal. Not everywhere in the brain has a fancy Latin name however. The simply titled Broca's area is named after the man who studied it, Pierre Paul Broca. I mentioned this part of the brain as it's of huge interest to myself and other lovers of names and words, as this is the part of the brain where language is thought to be processed. Though perhaps the most strange sounding part of the brain is the medulla oblongata, the part of the brain that connects it to the rest of the body. As well as connecting everything, it's believed to control things like our heart, breathing and blood pressure, so it's pretty darn important. The word medulla comes from Latin medius, meaning middle, as the spinal cord it's attached to runs down the middle of our bodies. The oblongata part of this name refers to the fact that it is oblong shaped, so this strange sounding name could simply be explained as meaning oblong in the middle. Despite all these interesting names, the actual word for brain itself isn't too noteworthy. It just evolved over time from older Germanic words into what we have today. Though what's impressive is that the brain created this name for the brain itself, making the brain the only thing in existence to have ever named itself. That's just 5 of the 10 entries from the body parts chapter of the book. That means that there are over 100 other etymologies waiting within the pages of the book for you to read and enjoy. And while I keep on saying book, there are many other ways you can enjoy reading this book, from the traditional physical copy to an ebook, and there's even an audiobook version read by the amazing John Cowley. He does a much better job at saying these words and names than I ever could. If you enjoyed this tiny extract, then I guarantee you'll enjoy this book, as well as the first volume if you haven't read it already. Even if you just enjoy the Name Explained channel or just etymology and facts as a whole, then I guarantee you'll love this book too. And of course, with the holidays approaching, why not ask for this book as a gift for yourself, or even why not gift it to someone, a family member or a friend who loves facts and etymology in general. I guarantee they'll love it, and if they don't, tell them. The author said, oh, you'll like this book, so they'll have to if they're told like that, surely. The best way of purchasing this book is by going onto Amazon and searching Word Origins book and clicking on the non-sponsored link. This helps Amazon's own search algorithm and will eventually allow more people to discover the book as well. However, just feel free to check whatever books are available in your part of the world too. And if you do read it and do enjoy it, then please do consider leaving a lovely glowing 5-star review. That was 15 I just did there. You can leave it 15 stars if you can, but please do consider leaving a lovely 5-star review to entice more people into buying the book and to just help the book out in general, to help it grow, to help it become the book I know it can become. Thank you all so much for enjoying this video, for allowing me to do this, for allowing me to make these videos, for allowing me to write books for a living. It's amazing I still get to call myself a published author. That's something I definitely would have expected 5 years ago or even 6 years ago when I first began Name Explained, but here we are now. And I really hope you enjoy reading The Origin of Names, Words and Everything in Between, Volume 2, just as much as I enjoyed writing it. Okay guys, take care.